Hey guys, today we are going to solve our first past question on bearing and distance. We are solving from SSC November 1999. Now let's get started. So the question says in the diagram, XYZ represent three locations. The bearing of Y from X is 210 degrees and the bearing of Z from Y is 150 degrees. Given that Yx is equal to 50 kilometers and Yz is equal to 80 kilometers, we are asked to calculate the distance between X and Z correct to the nearest kilometer. II, the bearing of X from Z to the nearest degree. And B, we are asked to find out how far east of Y is Z. So before we continue, I'd like us to know the representation of X, Y, and Z on our diagram. So the first thing we'll look out for here is the bearing of Y from X, which is 210 degrees. So from X, we have moving from this direction, from the north direction. So we are moving 180 degrees to the south, and then we'll move 30 more degrees, making 210 degrees. Because 180 degrees plus 30 degrees will give us 210 degrees. So now I've gotten the bearing of Y from X. Now let's find out the bearing of Z from Y, which is 150 degrees. And we also know that this angle is equal to 30 degrees. It implies that this angle is also 30 degrees because they are alternating angles. So we have to find the bearing of Z from Y given as 150 degrees. Okay, so now let's move from this direction to east. We know this to be 90 degrees, and let's move an additional 60 degrees, since we know that 90 degrees plus 60 degrees will give us 150 degrees as stated in our question. So now let's connect our point to point Z. So we'll connect from, let's say, from this point to point Z, 150 degrees. So next on our question, they said given that Yx is equal to 50 kilometers, so Yx implies that this side is 50 kilometer and Yz is equal to 80 kilometers. So we have here to be 80 kilometer. Okay, to show the distance from Y to Z. So now let's complete this diagram. Then now we'll connect from point X to point Z, and the distance is unknown. We don't know the distance, and we don't know the angle. Let's call it theta. So the whole of this angle is 150 degrees. Since we know this small angle here to be 30 degrees, we can see that it alternates to this side. So it implies that here is also 30 degrees. So we subtract 150 from 30 to get this angle. This angle is 120 degrees. Okay. Solution. Our first question says we have to find the distance between X and Z correct to the nearest kilometer. So here they're asking us to find the distance between X and Z. So we're looking for this distance. Let's call this small y kilometer. We know here our small z to be 50 kilometer, and we know here our small x to be 80 kilometer. But here we don't know the distance, and that's what we're looking for now. So using cosine rule, which we know to be b square is equal to a square plus c square minus 2ac cos b. So similarly for this question, the variables are quite different. We used x, y, z instead of a, b, c. So we have b squared to be y square to be equal to a square will be x square plus z square minus 2xz cos y. So now this is our new cosine formula. Now back to our diagram. We have xz to be equal to y, and we have yz to be equal to x, and we have yx to be equal to small letter z. So substitute this in our equation, and we know our x to be 80 kilometer, and we know our z to be 50 kilometer, and we are looking for y. So now let's substitute this into our equation. So we have here y square is equal to, our x is 80 kilometer square, plus our z is 50 kilometer, 50 square minus 2 into bracket 80 times 50 cos y is 120 degrees cos 120 degrees. So we have y square is equal to 80 square is 6,400 plus 2,500 minus 2 into 4,000 cos 120 degrees. So we have y square is equal to 8,900 minus 8,000 open bracket minus 0.5 plus 120 is minus 0.5. So we have here to be y square is equal to 8,900 plus 4,000. So we have our y square to be equal to 12,900. To find the value for y, take the square root of 12,900. So y is equal to 113.578 kilometers. So we are asked to leave our answer in the nearest kilometer. So since we know that after the decimal point, our value is greater than 4. So if it's greater than 4, you simply take 1 to this side. So we have our y to be 114 kilometer. So therefore, the distance between x and z is equal to 114 kilometer. So we are not done yet. So now we know our y kilometer to be 114 kilometer. Okay, now succeeded in solving this question.